Hi, everybody. I'm Nicole,
And I'm Brittany.
and this is the 11-Minute Mile, episode 24. And we're just going to do a little part two of having a baby because I feel like it went so well and there's so much to talk about, Brittany.
So much more. And now Lincoln is 1 week old today.
It actually is really crazy. That went so fast.
You think, but for me, I'm like, these days, they seem long just because you continue to wake up every hour of the day. It's just one big mush. Dan and I were laughing because it really does feel like we're in our own little bubble. And then all of a sudden we're like, oh, it's daytime. Perfect. Let's have coffee.
I was going to say, doesn't it feel like such a blur?
Yeah, it really does. Because it's dark half the time, I feel like, and then it's light, and then you're like, okay, now it's dark again. It's just the same routine over and over.
Yeah.
And we're still getting the hang of it, but it's been great.
I mean, it's fresh. It's fresh. Only a week. How has your sleep been?
Sleep has been good.
Do you
For
feel
the most part.
exhausted?
To be completely honest, I was like running on like a high up until
Yeah.
like yesterday. And yesterday I
Yeah.
feel like I crashed. Like even like I was having like the shivers, like the shakes. It felt
Oh,
like, and I feel like that's like a common hormonal thing that like I didn't really realize. And it's like, what is happening with my body? And I
yeah.
keep forgetting that I'm healing too. Like I feel like honestly, like my stomach is like already like mostly flat. Like it feels like it was like a blur. Like, how did I have a belly with a baby inside of it like a week ago? And now I'm just like, I'm expecting my body to be like back to normal, but I'm forgetting that like I just did so much and I'm becoming like a milk factory all at the same time. So a lot of
It
change is
is
happening.
it is insane. Like, what does your body feel like?
Like kind of my boobs are so achy.
Are
It's
they?
it's
That has
just
to be the
weird.
worst. Like, I even know when I have my period and when my boobs hurt, I'm like, holy crap, this is the worst pain ever.
And
Truly.
it's wild. It's like because I look at the baby and I look at Lincoln and
Yeah.
I'm like, all of a sudden my boobs start hurting. It's like they know. It's like
Yeah.
the craziest thing, but
How bizarre. And
it's weird.
you've been back and forth to the hospital so much in the last week. I
Yeah.
mean, fill me in. What is like happening
So
there?
Saturday we were discharged from the hospital and you're there like 2 days and we were there. We got there a day on Wednesday. So we slept the night and that's when I got induced. Then we stayed the night after the birth and then we stayed 2 other nights. So we were in
Yeah.
there 4 nights total, which was like great. And our room was amazing. NYU was like wonderful. But since coming home, I had to go back because my blood pressure was high again. And that's the reason why I got induced at 38
Also,
weeks.
you told me that, and I feel like fill the listeners in because I didn't realize how much like the blood pressure can affect you afterwards, and you can still get like preeclampsia.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I didn't
that's
know
why they were
that. So that's
worried.
like new
Yeah. So
new
at
news to me.
38 weeks, actually anywhere towards the end of pregnancy, I guess you're at high
Mhm.
risk of preeclampsia. So I had a pretty consistent blood pressure throughout my entire pregnancy. It was 110/70, 110/70. At my 38-week appointment, it was 140/90. And they were like, you need to go to the hospital right now and potentially get induced. And I was like, all right, this is the new plan. This is how it's going to go. And
Yeah,
it was for me, I would prefer something like that where it's just like, okay, this is like you just get switched, you just go into it. It's
for
not what you
sure.
expected, but it's planned out. You can like I said, like we
Yeah.
took the subway, it wasn't stressful, but it
But
was
it's weird
nerve-wracking.
like the aftermath. Like, so you have
Yeah,
the baby and then like the blood pressure still
can go
affects
up.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, affects you a
So
lot.
there's like a few days afterwards. I guess preeclampsia, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to explain it perfectly, but it's to do with the placenta. So when the placenta is removed after the birth,
Mhm.
your body still is generating those hormones and still is thinking
Yeah.
about those things. So even with the placenta out of the body, if the blood pressure is still going up, then it becomes dangerous. And
That's
that's what
really
they were just trying
crazy.
to avoid. And it's tricky because like they sent me home with a blood pressure cuff, which
Mhm.
at the hospital, they were measuring my blood pressure on their like great machine. And then I used the machine that they gave me to take home, and it was different. And I'm like, you can't be giving people things that are like reading
Yeah.
already higher numbers. So like when I came home, I took my blood pressure and it was like 152 over 102, which is
Hmm.
very high. So
Yeah.
I took it two more times just because it is a kind of not a great machine. And sometimes it like will kind of roller
Three
coaster
times the
around.
charm.
Yeah, and all three were kind of right around the same. So I
Yeah.
was like,
So you knew it was
called
off.
called the doctor, and she was like, you need to go to the hospital right
Yeah.
now. And which is one thing, it's totally
Wait,
fine.
because like what I mean, obviously I know if your blood pressure is high, it's very dangerous, but like why do they send you to the hospital just like right away?
Because what it could cause is like damage to my liver. So it could cause like
Hmm.
internal damage for the future. So they just want to avoid
Got it.
that. And I didn't even really go into like what, but I went to the hospital. They monitored me for like four or
So
five hours.
interesting.
I know. And
It
then
really
it's
is
also
crazy.
more the stress because, like, for me, I'm like, at least I'm not going back for the baby. It's fine. It's me. It's great.
Yeah.
And I'm like, can I bring the baby? Because, like, we're practicing nursing, like, we're learning, we're doing
Yeah.
all this stuff. And they're like, you can't bring the baby. And I'm like, instantly,
Yeah,
blood pressure shoots to the roof again.
it's
Stress,
stressful.
leaving my 2 day old baby, like,
You are
just too
kind of
stressful.
right in the sense what we were saying earlier that not when we were on here, but staying in the hospital for a little bit longer after
Hmm.
giving birth because like what is it? A day or two?
Yeah, like a day or two. And I guess like as you have more
It's
children, you're
kind of
more
crazy.
comfortable. But we're like the United States, I feel like is the only place that doesn't really like focus on the aftercare. Like I know in like
Mhm.
South Korea and other places, they do like birthing like facilities where it's like the mom and baby stay for like 2 weeks. And it's like a
It's
hotel
so
room or like a resort or
important.
something that you can actually like get proper care for. Because then, I mean, on top of the blood pressure, I was able to go home. The next day, we went back because Lincoln had jaundice. So
Yeah.
then his levels were spiking. And then it was just stressful because it's like
So much happens.
so
Like
much
so
happens.
much. And you're
And for
never
us, we thought it
prepared
was
for it.
fine. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're just like never prepared for it. I don't even know how. I mean, it's nice to hear these stories because I feel like even people that are wanting to become a parent or new moms out there, like it's good
Mhm.
to hear stuff like this because it probably happens on the regular,
Oh,
but no
absolutely. And
one
it's
really
like,
talks about it.
because it is stressful and it's
Yeah.
not anything that like because like he got jaundice because I guess I feel like have gathered so much knowledge in the past week. It's
I know it's
because
crazy.
Lincoln and I have different blood types. So
Mhm.
I'm O negative and he's A negative. So because we have different blood types, he's at a higher risk to contract
Wow.
jaundice.
Yeah.
So it's not even something that like we could have done. And they're like, just watch for like his coloring. And he's
Yeah.
like pretty tan. So I'm like, is he tan or is he an Oompa Loompa? Like, is he
Well,
orange? Like, I don't know.
when we were FaceTiming, I'm like, holy crap, he is so tan. Like he must have
I
got Dan
know.
skin. Like it's
And
crazy, but now that makes sense.
yeah, but the doctor was like, he does look a little jaundiced. And I was like, this has been his coloring for the whole time. So the next day we were like,
Yeah.
she's like, if anything changes, bring him back. We'll test his levels. So the next day, Dan and I were back and forth, like, should we go?
Yeah.
Should we go? And then the whites of his eyes were looking a little yellow. So I was like, okay, let's just go. So I'm so happy we
Yeah,
did
that's
go. And
really
then
scary.
went to the hospital and then he was on the phototherapy, the light therapy for 12 hours. So then he was on that for 12
Wow.
hours. So
12
that's
hours. Why?
yeah,
Why so long?
because they have to just, I mean, that's just how long it takes. And then they say a lot of times the jaundice levels don't
Try
even
to
typically
stop.
go down that fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just one thing after the next. Thankfully, everything is great now. His levels
Of
came back
course.
and they were great. But also, it's like you get all these mixed reviews of how people think like feeding should go. It's like feed every
Yeah.
2 to 3 hours, feed when they're hungry, and every
But you
baby's
got to
so
figure it
different.
out on your own.
Yeah,
It's
but also it's like it's important to be like, okay, if your baby has jaundice, they need to go to the bathroom multiple times.
yes.
So
Yeah.
basically, one of the doctors was like, just like every 2 hours, feed him, make sure he's going to the bathroom, peeing, and just getting the jaundice out
Yeah.
because that's why like their poop goes through this like range of colors. It's like tarry black, then it's green, then it's yellow. Like it goes through this
Oh
wave.
God.
So many
What
things. I'm telling you, in the last week, I feel like I've gotten my PhD in infant care.
in babies. I mean, it is really like I do feel like every parenting story is so different because you kind of like
Hmm.
everyone wants to parent a different way too. And so like you learn how what things work for you, but it
Yeah.
is good to hear stories like this and be like, okay, it's obviously not normal for these things to happen, but it is normal. Like it does happen on a regular and
Yeah.
this is what you kind of have to look
Not
for, but
normal, but
everything's going to be
common.
fine.
Yeah.
Exactly. Um, but it's so crazy. I
Yeah.
mean, wow,
All
that
the
was
things.
full of
Full
information.
full info.
Could
And
have been a full
honestly,
hour,
I know. Full
truly.
information and giving everyone the information that they need. And I just think after talking to multiple people about how I had to go back to the hospital, they're like, I had to go back. I had to go back. And I'm
Crazy.
like, just hearing that made me feel so much better because I felt like
Yeah.
I was like something seriously wrong. Like, why am I going back
Oh, that's
again?
probably so nice to hear,
So it is,
like,
it's
hear
like
that. Yeah.
you should definitely anticipate on going
Yeah.
back because it just your body just went through a
Yeah.
lot. And I think that's one of the biggest things is making sure you're taking care of your body as well as the baby
Yeah.
because I feel like a lot of times I forgot that I also went through something because I was just able to get up and walk right after.
Something totally major.
Yeah.
Wow. So crazy. I
So
love the stories.
crazy.
It's wild.
Yeah.
But I'm glad he's doing well. And maybe
Yes,
next
everything's going well
time
now.
you could show his little face on the screen for
Bring his
everyone.
celebrity. I know. Now that he's like a normal color.
I love it. No more tan.
No more
Um,
tan.
all right. Well, you go back to momming
Being a mom.
and we'll talk soon.
Sounds good. Thanks for
Bye,
listening,
ladies.
guys. Bye.
Bye.